All righty, so we are live and in living color. Everybody's doing all right with this market, huh? Different than we've ever seen. Some elements are the same. Some elements are totally different. Um, but the bottom line is that we have to play the cards that we're dealt. So you want to get in and get in where you can fit in and do as much as you possibly can to accumulate as much as you possibly can and serve as many people. So, like I said, we got a lot of ground to cover. So I'm going to cover these 10 traits. They should be in the chat for you to download. But if you're coming on late, from what I understand, I may have to put them back in again. So that means if you got here early, you're fine. But if not, then you have to stay till the end and have to re put them in there. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rocking and rolling. All right, the 10 traits of a successful realtor. All right, and this is not a trademark document. It's just that the realtor is actually trademarked. But I think, number one thing is, and I want you all to keep it in mind, a caring heart. Always put your clients' needs first. I'm seeing this more and more in the industry where people are, trying to get that buck. And I mean, we work for them coins, as Paula would say. We work for those coins, but we can't let that stop us from being humans first. Always put the client's needs above yours. And your need usually are the needs that I'm speaking of here, and not to you guys particularly, because you guys I know all have good hearts. That I already know. But just saying in general, the our fellow practitioners, as a friend of mine would say, may and may not be depending on their budget situation. So always keep a clear head and keep your clients' needs first. I think that's really kind of most important there. Be knowledgeable. Okay, we have a business where we know a lot, but we also need to study. We also need to be taking classes on a yearly and a regular basis. Take some class to improve your professionality, and to improve to hone your craft. It might be a class on. I think I sent out an email on a class for seller strategy marketing, something like that. I couldn't even get it into my schedule, but several of y'all took it, and I understand it was very, very, very good. Now you have that designation, so you can utilize that, putting it on your card. People will say, "What's that?" Then you get a chance to practice that spiel and say, "Well, this is for this, and this, and it's made so I can help you do this, and this." I took time out of my day. I took 2 days, and I went to class all day, and I got all of the information needed so that I can help you. All of those type of things. So be knowledgeable. All right, as realtors, we really, really have to be great listeners, not just hearers. Now, what do I mean by that? You know, you can hear sound, but when you go to a symphony, you have to listen for the piccolo. You have to listen for the French horn. You have to listen for the clarinet. Listening takes a different part of your mind than just hearing. You can hear noise, you can hear chatter, you can hear this, but listening engages the mind. So listen to your clients. Make sure that you're hearing exactly what they're saying and listening to what they really, really mean. Listen to their heart. Have a heart for them. They don't know what they're doing. They're scared. They're shaking in their boots in many cases. This is stuff that we all have done, over and over and over again. But this is their first time in many cases. And even if they act like they're big shots, well, I sold 2 houses. I bought 2 houses in my lifetime, and you don't want to be crass like this. And oh, just two? You just been to 2 settlements, and you think you know it all now. That was 2 settlements. Was it FHA? Was it VA? Was it conventional? Did you put down 20%? What'd you do? You start asking them questions. But don't do that. Just be a listener, hear their heart. You know that they want to feel like they're contributing, and just understand them. Okay. Be truthful and trustworthy. That is absolutely a paramount characteristic of a successful realtor. It's funny how our brains work. One guy said it like this: it's not grammatically correct, but you get the point. The truth don't need no story. Okay, the truth don't need no story. Basically, you don't have to remember the truth, but you have to make your mind remember how to tell that lie. How to cover up. Oh, did you break that pencil? No, no. They asked you 2 weeks later. Did you break that pencil? No, no, no. Your mind has to work at that. So just be truthful, be trustworthy, because down the road it will pay you in dividends. You need to be, as a successful realtor, a trained negotiator. Many of our clients really depend on us being able to negotiate the situation that they're in, be able to advise them on what they should take and what they should give and take, and how they should come at this situation, how they should respond. They say, I want to offer this, the seller comes back this. We need to know how to negotiate. And those are classes. Okay, the negotiating strategies are basically the same basic plays. There's probably about 15 or 20 of them and variations thereof, but you should know the ones that are about real estate. Now, these three agencies that I put up here, I'm a MCNE, so CNE, certified negotiation expert. These are strictly for real estate. These are not you negotiating. All lawyers get taught negotiating skills and things like that, and other jobs and professions get taught that. But you have the opportunity to learn it specifically for your real estate business and to help your real estate clients. So get into one of these classes, learn something. I can. Go ahead. Go ahead. Who said something? Sound like Aaron?
That was feedback.
Oh, feedback. Okay, I already ate, so we don't need any of that. Right. But I took a CNE class. So I have a master's certificate of negotiation expertise. In Maryland, you can't call yourself an expert, so expertise. But I went ahead and took the other classes so that I could have my master in it. And each level was a little bit higher, taught a little bit deeper, negotiations and things like that. So, it was cool. But the first class I took, when I finished that class, I came coming home from the class. It was in Anne Arundel County. Coming home from that class, and I had to meet my daughter, and she wanted to buy a car, and she said, "Well, hey, can you go with me to buy this car?" And so I went with her, of course, and looking at the car and things like that, and we were able to negotiate such a good deal that the man's wife was mad at him for letting the car go for that price. So we made her feel good. I think yeah, I think it came to about $100 difference or something like that, or she's like, well, I said, okay, well, you know what? Why don't we do this? Why don't we give $100 towards your child? They had a little baby with them, towards your baby's college fund. Oh, okay, So just learning how to and where you are in the transaction. I'll give you one quick technique that I recognize in our real estate commission, in our real estate. So put a house in the market, and an agent calls me, "Hey Chuck, how you doing, man? I just sold 123 Main Street, and like, man, do you have any offers on that property?" The bell should be ringing, ding, 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 ding. That's when the negotiation has started. All right. Why is he asking that question if it makes no difference? Where's he going with that? All those type of things need to pop off in your head, but in your training will kick in, and you'll know how to answer and things like that. So, this is not a class on negotiations, but all of them are going to teach you something. But then you have those designations, which you have designations you pay for once, certifications you have to keep renewing. So I like the designations capacity. So become a trained negotiator. You need to be ultra communicative and informative, and keep your clients informed. Let them know each and every step of the way. Christy and I were talking about this some time ago, and she was saying that, yeah, it's very important, to her, to make sure that her clients know exactly where they are in the process, where they're going, what's next, and things like that. And all of our clients need that. They need at the end of the transaction, they need to be able to say, "Hey, so look, you were great. I knew everything. There was no surprises. Nothing that I didn't know." I knew that the lender was going to call and ask about this, and I knew that this was going to happen, and so on. So be ultra communicative and informative. Keep them informed. Now, these all things again are talking about being successful. Now, none of these will make you successful right away, but all of these, as you implement them, will cause you to have a successful career as you build upon those traits. And as client upon client upon client has the same testimony for you, you can actually start to build a whole website of just testimonials. And anybody that wants to consider you, you can send them to your website. Here's what other people say about me. That third party confirmation is powerful, powerful. So definitely do that. Okay, let me see how to scroll my screen up here. Come on. All right. Over explain everything. Now, as you're keeping them informed, you really want to explain it to the point that they start feeding it back to you. Okay. You want to make sure that they understand everything. So you tell them about it, tell them it's three things you got to do. You got to tell them what you're going to tell them, then tell them that you told them. And once they can give it back to you, then they have it. See, this is our profession, not theirs. Many people think that they know what's going on, or especially if folks feel that they can research it and find out, just what's happening, but not always. So it's our job to really over explain everything. Make sure, let's dumb it down. Make sure it's as understandable as possible, because we can do that. I mean, we get it the first time, and I'm going to go over some forms. They're going to cover some of this stuff, and we'll see how much we really know. Number 8, have an outstanding work ethic. Okay, outstanding. Do what you say and return calls. I can't tell you how many people I've called. Their voicemail is full. That's your money. That's your money machine right there. It's full. They're saying, I have enough money. I have enough business. I don't need any more. And that's not good. But what the real devastation in that is the unseen business that you never got, never knew you lost because they say, oh, they can't even empty their voicemail. I don't want to deal with them. Now, that's a person that empties their voicemail every hour on the hour, maybe, and that's overkill, and I get that. But you don't know how you're going to be perceived by other people. So have an outstanding work ethic. Do what you say you're going to do and return the calls. And then sometimes it does mean, you got a full day, this got down, the car broke down, the baby spit up, all this kind of stuff. But still, maybe you're making sending those emails out, just before you go into bed or waking up a little bit early to get it done. Do what you say, and then return your calls. And one of the things that we're known for is being advisors. All right, we're real estate advisors. Okay, it's different than being a salesperson. Nobody likes a salesperson. Nobody really likes to be sold other than another salesperson. You like to hear their attempts and call them out and say, oh, you gave me alternative of choice. Oh, that's really cool, man. Okay. Wow, you closing so early in this meeting here we just met, and you closing me already for the deal. What's up with that? So us salespeople, we don't have a problem with that, but the regular public does. So give them advice. And when you give them advice, so you have no financial ties to the outcome. When you go to a financial advisor, our job's a little different, but when you go to a financial advisor, you pay them and they're going to give you the financial advice. You may not even like it. They say, well, you need to move this money out of this vehicle and put it into this one, or you may have to not fund that one so much or underfund that one, or you need to put more money in your rainy day fund. You may not like it. That means, you have to stop going to Top Golf, every 2 days and things like that. But, it's advice. You see, they're not tied to the financial outcome. They don't really care how you feel about that. And that's how we have to be. We have to be advisors. I'm going to give you the best advice based on what you said you want because I listened to you and everything else like that. I've listened to you. I'm truthful. I'm a good listener. I'm knowledgeable, and I'm going to now tell you. I'm going to advise you, and not try to sell you something so I can get paid. So, and then 10, always be well dressed, well spoken, and well driven. Now, driven doesn't necessarily mean in terms of motivation. It means you need to drive a nice ride. And when I first got into business, this is a funny story. I don't know if I have any coppers on the call here, but I pledged to make it top five at Blue State. Of course, our colors are purple and gold. But this car I had when I first got into real estate was a red and white, Capo red and white Grand Prix, 2-door. And it was crazy. But you know what? My manager at the time, she said, look, you have a 2-door car. It's not the end of the world. Just keep it clean and keep it running well, and you'll be fine. And that's certainly what happened. It's clean, kept it well, and running fine, and I was all right. So, but you dress well because that's an impression. You speak well. Don't stop splitting those verbs and all that other kind of stuff. Speak as well as you can, and you'll be fine. And then perception, like I say, is everything. So when you walk up, you're looking sharp, you're driving sharp, you're speaking sharp. Half the battle is won because they're not trying to worry about you not performing. Then you just have to do the job from there. So it gets a little bit easier, but not too bad. All right, and let me go here and get my other form. Oh, okay, so I got it right here. We did the 10 traits. Now, how to stay productive in our current market. That's real rule. Everybody can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. One of the things you want to do is target listings or sellers. Okay, how do you do that? I'm just going to give you one of several strategies that there are, but I can't go into all of them. Not an individual business business plan meeting where you're saying, "Hey Chuck, I want to start this," but a geo farm or geographical farm is what it's short for. And what you're doing is you're picking an area where, as you looked over that area, and let's say the subdivision might be Beech Tree. Okay, you pick a section Beech Tree, and you want to go in there and see how many homes there are, and out of 100, make sure at least about 5 of them sold every year, because that's a turnover that the higher the better, obviously, but just make sure that you have at least about 5%, of sales per year. Then you pick a price range. If it's like in like Beach Street, you can go anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million, and so then pick a price range that's 10 to 30% above the average sales price. We get our average sales price. We can go online, go to MLS, and get that. It's there all day. Or actually, you can just go to pgcar.com, and look on the housing stats, and it'll tell you what the average price and the median price is of homes. It's going to be around 350, 375, might be up to 400 by now. And look at that. So you want it to be 10% above that, 440 or so. So you're you're ahead of the market as it's going up. And make sure that there's about 200 to 400 homes in there. When it starts to get bigger than that, it starts to become very, very cumbersome and can eat into your time as you're doing your regular business. And make sure, so you keep it around 200 to 400. 200 is the minimum you need if you're going to use a bulk mail process, where you're going to be paying like half price for the stamps, but you have to have a stamp that you put on them and things like that. Either get the postcards printed with your bulk mail number on them and all of that kind of stuff, or just get a bulk mail stamp or something like that. You can even buy stamps from them. I don't know how that works, but we do it one of those other two ways. And so that's why you do that. So then once you decided on that area, go through and see all. You're going to ride by all the past settlements, as many as you can find. Okay, go definitely see and see the inside of the present properties that are on the market right now, and any new listings that come on the market, because they won't know you. They have relationships with other. As soon as they come on, you need to be the first one in there. You can actually set up the MLS so that it will alert you at certain times when people come on, and when people list their houses in that certain area, because you can actually take that area. There's a lot of different ways to rope it off in your MLS, and that's a whole nother class there. Dude. You can start a newsletter in that area. So you can, in your newsletter, you can show this house just came on the market. This is the price. This number of bedrooms and baths, and then things like that. You then become the authority for that area. So what you're trying to do is set yourself up to be the authority for that area. Okay, you'll see all the past and present new listings in your geo farm. Even start a newsletter. In that newsletter, you're giving the different information and maybe other things, and you have the information about the area amenities, and you can put little pieces in there, things like that. Get sponsors from local businesses close to that area. Ask them to provide your homeowners with a discount coupon. So what that's saying is, say, at Peters. Go to Peters carryout. Say, hey, look, man, let's work together here. If they bring in this coupon that I'm going to make up, you'll give them 10% off of their order. And these are people right in the neighborhood here, so you'll get more neighborhood business. Now they may or may not go for it. You go to another business to work it out. But you see how I'm just being creative and thinking outside of the box. Go to the HOA meetings. Go to the condo meetings. Go to other association meetings. Some of them are formal HOAs, some of them are just general associations and things like that. Make yourself well known in those areas, in those arenas, and start to build your reputation there. Okay, I talked about getting a bulk mail account from UPS and send flyers. You can send just listed cards. You can send on your listing. You can send copies cards with that. You can have it made up where it has all your listings on it. Just send it to that neighborhood. What you're showing them is that you're busy, you're active, you're in the business, you're doing the business, and that's what they want. They don't want somebody's fly by night. Here today going to borrow, been in business for 28 years and haven't done any business. They want some folks that know a little something. And then number three on that, walk the neighborhood, hand out, get to meet the people, press some flesh, if you want to wear your mask, that's fine, all that kind of good stuff. Want to carry your hand sanitizer. But give them some things, give them flags or cups. You meet them, say, hey, look, here's a cup for you. Here's a little coffee cup for you. Have my information on it. Here's a pen for you. I know one guy, that's all he does is hand out pens with his phone number on them. Yeah, so anything useful and long lasting will work for you. And after a while, you will become the household name. But understand that this is a long game. It's not like you'll do this right away, and all of a sudden, people will be knocking on your door, or calling you up saying, "Come to my house, come to my house." They need to see that you're going to have been there for a little while. Okay, quickly how to target um, move up buyers or move up sellers and get a twofer. So a lot of times they usually have to sell their house first. So you get two transactions for one effort. So you can use the MLS tax records to see when their recordation date was. So if it's 5 or 10 years ago, they've been in their house 5 or 10 years, then they might be considering a bigger house. They might, add some kids in by there and things like that. If they've been in their house for 10 or 20 years, they may be looking to downsize. Okay, so you have opportunities there that you can do that, and then even if you got a little extra time, look for some disrepair houses that are run down and not well cared for. Locate the owner, see if they're thinking about selling. Sometimes there's a whole different strategy if you're dealing with out of town owners, where you can look at the tax record and see they don't live in this area, they live in Florida, they live in California. Reach out to them, say, hey, look, I'm a local realtor right here. Are you thinking about selling a house on 123 Main Street? Well, if you are, then we have a deal for you. Just talk with them, get in their ear, put them on your mailing list, so that you can go ahead and get in the game. You'll be the only one in their ear, so you'll be the only one in the air. Now, before we get into the form, I'm going to go over this real quick. How to make sure you have your buyers have an advantage in the market. All right, I've covered this before, and I kind of told a lot of you kind of one-on-one, but make sure you have a strong CIA letter. Okay, CIA means credit, income, and asset verification. What I mean by that is that your lender should be a local lender. Okay, they need to have an office in the DMV that you can drive to if they go ghost on you and knock on the door. Hey, who's the manager here? Hey, I'm dealing with Joe Blow, man, and he's gone ghost on me here. So, anything like that. Okay. Also, the lender must state in the letter that they verified the buyer's credit package, all income documents, including pay stubs and tax returns, and verified all assets needed to get this loan approved quickly. When you have a letter like that from the lender, you put your buyers head and shoulders above some of the loan officers who just want to give a generic thing and whatnot, give a generic letter, say, get out there and do your best, realtor. They might fire 5 of those out and hope somebody comes back with a deal. Okay. But again, I'm talking to you about how to get your buyers that better deal. have that lender call the listing agent directly to vouch for the buyer. That's what I do. My lenders call, there's multiple contracts. You call the listing agent, let them know how good this deal is. So when they sit in front of their seller, they can say, well, I did talk to this contract's loan officer, and the agent seems like he's pretty sharp and on top of things, and it's a well-written contract. Out of everything you're looking at here, at least I talked to this loan officer, because I guarantee you everybody's not doing that. Everybody's not doing that. Okay, and the lender should give you several approval letters. Now, many times we don't ask for this. Okay, at least 3. Now, this is right out the box. You send them a client to pre-approve. They've checked their credit, their income, their assets. They've written a strong letter, like I mentioned above. And then what you want to ask them is to send you several approval letters. 3, at least 3. These approval letters should be one is the top of their buyer's financial capability, because if they have to go to the wall, it's better that they, put it all in and wish they'd have gone another $5,000 and lost out on the house of their dreams. Okay, one letter for somebody might need to mute themselves. All right, one letter for $10,000 less, and then one letter for $20,000 less. This gives you a range if you have to, if you get into a bidding war or something like that. You say you come in on the low end, and now it's escalated up. You can boom shoot them over a letter right then and there, because you may not be able to catch up with your lender. Okay, and the lender can do a specific address approval letter if there's time. So if he can go, because most each not he or she, if the lender can go in, a lot of times they want to check the taxes, check the current interest rates, and I understand that they want to do that. But in our market, sometimes you don't have the opportunity. You just have to know that, hey, look, they can buy it. So I don't need to be that granular with it, but I know they can buy it. They qualify for more than what we're offering, or what the highest contract is. So do that. So the lender can do the specific one. So, all of this might be what causes your contract to get accepted, because in a multiple offer scenario, the agent who responds the quickest, they eat. Everybody else gets to go try again. Okay, and you need to learn all of the negotiation tactics of presenting a buyer's contract. Some of this you'll learn in the negotiating classes that you take. So I took that master certified negotiation expert. There was another class that came out after that, and as soon as I sat through the class and learned those things, I came and taught them to you all. But that was just, I couldn't. What took me 2 days of classes and homework and a book and the whole 9 yards. I couldn't really compress it and get it all into you. But you want to do that. Here's one. No seller closing help. If your buyer has the money, tell them to offer no seller closing help. That way the seller will net more. They like it's a cleaner contract. It's a lot cleaner to them than when you push the price up, because guess what? They really do think that they're asking as much or maybe a little more than what they're going to get. So if you push the price up even over that, they're like, oh, wait a minute, you saying I'm a fool. I left a whole lot of money on the table, if they can. Okay. Next, use a down payment assistance program. Now, you may not have to disclose to the seller, if there's no financial detriment to the seller, that you're using a down payment assistance program. For example, Maryland mortgage program. A lot of times people get it and they've already been approved for that money from the lender, and they're asking the seller for some money. They're coming in with no money down. And as a seller's like, okay, I just want to get this house sold. So, I'll pay a little bit of closing. So between that, I had one where they asked for so much that the seller couldn't even pay it all. But somebody didn't do their math. So my seller made an extra $1,500 that he was willing to give up. And, guess who looked like a Prince Charming in that situation? All right. Talk to the listing agent. That's real important. Hey, man, what does your seller want? What are they looking for? Do they need a short-term rent back? What's going on with them? Do they need a quick settlement? Do they need a long settlement? What is it that they need? And I just closed a deal not too long ago, and the seller gave them a 2-week rent back for free. But it's what got us in. This house was the perfect house for this client. I mean, came with a pool. So and this particular client was taking their kids to the pool 2 and 3 times a week, to just swim around in the pool, and now to get one in their backyard. And I negotiated where the seller's going to leave all of the equipment and even tell them everything they need to do to open up the pool in May, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, so it was interesting, man. But you always want to do that. So ask the listing agent what the seller needs. If you can find out ahead of time, you can write the contract accordingly. Use a quick major problem home inspection. A lot of them home inspection companies are now saying, hey, look, I know in this multiple offer market, it's very competitive out here. Some sellers would much rather have a contract with no home inspection contingency. We know that that's kind of dangerous for our clients, our buyer clients, because they could come in, they're buying a major expense and nobody's checking it out for them. A kind of meet in the middle situation is a quick home inspection. And most of the home inspection companies are doing this. They'll come in and check all the hot spots, make sure the roof is tight. Make sure the HVAC works. Make sure there's no plumbing issues. Look at the electrical panel and things like that. It's not a 2 or 3 hour thing. They might come in there in about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, they're gone because they're just hitting those hot spots. And it's such a market where the other minor stuff, it's not really a big deal. So utilize that. Utilize $1 minimum for general home inspections. If you got to get the general home inspection, I've used this before. So my buyer, I talked with him about it. I said, look, these home inspections, I want you to get it all, but some of these home inspections are killing deals. So this was a multiple offer situation. They put in the home inspection that unless the repairs are in excess of $3,000, they're not even going to bother the seller with them. They're going to do the home inspection. And literally the inspections came to maybe $1,000, something like that. They said, okay, we're good. We're fine. Just again, thinking outside of the box, being negotiating tactics. That was good for the seller. It's like, well, I want you to get a home inspection because I don't want you to come back and try to sue me. But if I don't have to, if you cover the first $3,000 or whatever you find, and they took care of the house, then they're okay with that. So it's a couple of situations there. So escalation clauses, just so you know, are generally being replaced with the highest and best strategy. Where, in other words, the agent's saying, we're not taking any escalation clauses. Give me your highest and best by Monday, and things like that. So that is what is happening. And then sometimes you can use a drop dead clause. It's a way to force them to come to terms and deal with your contract. But it can also tick off the sellers because they're not used to it. And sometimes they're agents because they haven't really dealt with it before. They're going to tell us when we can look at a house, when we can decide on this. No, this is my house. They got all of that stuff going on there. So that is what we do there. Okay. I think I went over all the things that I needed to go over. Now, all right, that being said, go ahead to another screen share. Hopefully I brought this up. Okay, yeah. All righty. So we're going to talk about these forms here. All right, and I should be able to wrap these up pretty quickly. Most of you all have seen these forms before, and you do know them, so I think we'll be okay. Okay. All right, so now this is the FHA financing addendum form. All right, again, Joe Biden, Melania Trump, they're buying a house, and Mr. Seller and Mrs. Seller are selling the house on 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. All right, now, a lot of times when we deal with this form, we're not putting the right things in the boxes. You definitely need to have a check with your agent, but like, for example, you might have heard in the news that the FHA lowered their mortgage insurance premium. It used to be 0.85% of the 96. So on FHA, you have two things. You have 3.5% down payment. The 96.5% that's left, that's the loan amount. Because every FHA buyer is putting down 3.5% one way or another. So you have that thing, you can put that first number here. You know what that number is. Then you can multiply that number by 0.55%. And the number that comes in here, that's what you have to leave. And then you add the two of those up, and that's the total loan amount. The loan amount isn't just the 96. It's the 96 plus whatever the mortgage insurance premium is on in terms of the monthly payment. Okay. Okay. So that's why I put the numbers in here. It's just the total. But I wanted you to see it's 0.55%. You had to know get to the 96.5. On the other loan program, 203B is the normal normal FHA straight 30-year fixed loan. Okay. They have a couple of different other ones. I'm just not seeing a whole lot of them, 2-1 buy down, things like that. But the other one that you'll see is the 203K. That's the rehab loan. So you have to specify what type of loan you're going to be using in here, and so on and so forth. Number of years is going to be 30. All FHA loans are 30 years, unless they can actually get a 15-year one, something like that. But we're talking about the vast majority. But you're going to put in whatever is going on here, and initial interest rate we really don't know because the lender hasn't locked in. So you can put in here to be determined. You can put in here a general amount, general interest rate, 6.5, 7, whatever you kind of think is good. If you can get away with TBD, then fine. And most of the seller agents, the listing agents, don't really care what's on here. They just want to know you're on FHA, you're on 203B, and they know FHA is already 96.5% down, so things like that. Okay, buyer agrees to pay to the lender the certain loan and discount fees. Now, put it here. You want to check with the lender on that. You don't want to just arbitrarily put a number in here. You want to have an idea from the lender. Hey, about how much you think your loan discount fees are going to be and things like that. And they don't know. And sometimes you can put in there 0 or whatnot. But have a conversation with them, okay, and make sure that number is somewhere in the ballpark. But the buyer is paying this. Now you go down to the next line. The seller agrees to pay loan origination discount fees of X amount of dollars. Now, in other parts of the contract where we ask for closing costs, like the closing cost addendum, this is in addition to the closing costs that they've agreed to pay on another document. So a sharp agent will catch that and say, "Oh no, man, you got us paying 3% in closing costs, and we paying 2 points." No, I'm not doing that. So and also they may think that you're trying to be slicky on them. So just know that form, that's what goes into there. Now, for the FHA mandatory clause, this is basically saying that the house has to sell to the appraised value, and you have to put the contract sales price in here. But this is the addendum that lets them out of the contract if it doesn't appraise. Okay, but make sure you don't put anything but the contract sales price in it. Don't leave it blank. Don't put numbers or something. And I mean, many people have gotten away with it before, and they've actually put in the word, the final contract sales price. Okay, it's I haven't seen it blow back on anybody, but it could. So I'm gonna tell you, put in the regular contract. I'd rather you put in the contract price, and if it tends to be something else later on, change it with an addendum. So all parties agree that the FHA the contract sales price is such and such as relates to paragraph 4 of the FHA addendum. So that's pretty much the rest of this is read it. I'm not gonna read every line. You already know how to do this. Lender required repairs. Well, most of us know how to use this. I can't spell seller, but that's okay. But this is what the seller pays. So yeah, come on in. This is what the seller pays in terms of required repair. So when the appraiser does his work there, or he does his appraisal, he may come and say, well, this needs to be taken care of, that needs to be taken care of. If it comes to less than this number, then the seller is obligated to do this and go forward with this transaction. Okay, so you're pretty cool on that. And yeah, so all right, now going on to conventional financing addendum. This you kind of know the loan amount because at this point, if you've decided on a conventional loan, you know whether it's 5% down, 10% down, 3% down, whatever. So you put in the loan amount here. The term of the note is almost always 30 years. Yeah, amortization is almost always 30 years. And the interest rate, you can put in there TBD if it's not locked in because you don't know what it's going to be. Again, between the time that the contract gets ratified and all that kind of stuff, and the time that the lender and the buyer lock in their loan interest rate, we don't know. And then the loan program, if it's a special loan program, sometimes what I put on here, and you see, I've had several opportunities: 20% down conventional, 80% down LTV, which same thing. 80% down LTV or even less, 85% down if sometimes you have a 15 down product, 90% down owner occupant financing. That's to say that's not an investor, and I'm just sending those messages in there. 90 to 97% LTV. I've been trying to get away with that because we just weren't sure where the buyer was going in with all of that. 95% LTV. And conventional, so you have to put in there something. Usually, this is the one I use: conventional 95% down. That makes it clear. It's a conventional addendum, but that makes it nice and well and clear. And you want to the loan origination fees again, like I said, discuss with the buyer and the lender what kind of loan origination fees they're looking at on this, and as you're putting it in there. So again, you're having a conversation with the lender, and hopefully at this point they're responsible enough to maybe even give you a regular letter or a specific letter to that property, or a specific couple of letters, things like that. Just like on the FHA addendum, these are the seller required repairs. We're asking the seller to fix X amount of dollars worth of things that may come up on the appraisal. Okay. So, and then going on to the appraisal contingency. Now, this you can put any number in here, but I suggest we keep it tight. Now, what this basically says is that once the appraisal comes back, there's a certain amount of days that you have to respond. If you don't respond, then you agree to whatever the party sent you said. So if they say, okay, it appraised $2,000 less, you just got to live with that or something like that. And the seller, so this is where you got to read through this, but use 3, 3, and 3 here as in general. There may be some situations where you may need 5 or something like that, but the more days you have, the more time people have to run the contract up. So say, for example, if you turn this from 3 and you put in here 7, okay, and you put 7 all the way through there, then really, you could have an issue there, and somebody could take they could take 21 days to get everything done in here. And really, you're then pushing up on your settlement time because that hasn't changed. Just because people are going back and forth on the appraisal. I don't want to do this. So I say, so give yourself a nice tight time frame in there. If you're on top of your game, you're on top of your business, you'll hear from the appraisal. Have a conversation like we talked about earlier with your client. You're informing them. You're keeping them abreast of everything. In fact, you told them that this might happen. So you're getting it in there. 7 days is way too much. Okay, so I'm put the 3 back in here. Like 3, 3, 3. Yeah, okay. Great. Gotta press the right keys. Yeah, and then okay. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all on that form. And then please take your time to read through these forms. Okay, I'm going over them kind of quick. I'm kind of giving you a heads up, but this is not to circumvent you actually reading and knowing what the form says. All right, it's covered the Maryland lead form. Most of you all know how to use this already. I don't have to go too deep in here. This is useful for properties that are constructed prior to 1978. So when you look in the tax records and it says 1977 or earlier, this reform is required. You will see this form on some big firms. They want it if the house was built yesterday. They don't care. Their lawyers told them to make sure and cover yourself. And so it's going to be in there. Some of the bigger firms, Long and Foss I know does it. Some of the other firms don't do it. They're going to want it in there. So if you see it in the MLS documents, just let your buyer know that it's of none effect because their house was built. But what they're saying is, hey, what if the tax records are wrong? So we want to cover it either way. And sometimes, well, it's a new house, but and then the rest of the stuff is just filled in, pretty standard stuff. You can read it there. And in the event this has occurred, and I'm not gonna go. We all know how that one works, right? This is the Maryland disclosure form. Okay, so this is the lead poison prevention program, and then this is the actual disclosure of information for lead-based paint. Same thing with both of these. You may see them in properties that were built after 1977, and some firms just want that done. Tell your buyer, don't worry about it. Just go ahead and fill it out and sign it, and everything should be cool. Okay. Pre-settlement walkthrough form. Now we are not using this at all for the most part. All right, everybody. A lot of people don't even realize that there was a form, and as you see, this form's been around for a long time, since 2019. This is October 2019. But what you're going to do with this is, the date of the walkthrough. You may want to get your walkthrough done a few days earlier just to make sure there are no issues. Now I know that brings up the thing. Well, what if something happens after we did the walkthrough and things like that? So you may want to maybe do two. Who knows? You play that by ear. Even if you go the last day, if there are issues, then this is where you have to address them. You have to bring it, and I would not wait to surprise everybody at settlement. The minute I get in my car from the walkthrough, we've went there, and now there's water all over the basement floor. I actually had that happen. We went to the walkthrough, and the hot water heater had busted. The sellers didn't know anything about that. They actually moved out of the house. House was empty, and the hot water heater busted. So we, talked to them, and we got it taken care of. But to explain the problem here, think about your negotiation options. Seller can remedy it sometime before closing to the buyer's acceptance, or you can talk to me and I see if they can figure out a way for the seller to pay some money at settlement to the buyer. The reason I say talk to me on that, and sometimes their financing has it so the seller can't give them any more money, and nobody else can. But there's ways to get around that and work around that. So if it just that's a higher level negotiation that you can't do, really has to be done on the broker level. It can delay settlement, which may cost everybody more money. Why? Your loan locks are going to get loose. People got moving trucks that are ready to go. So, that may not be a viable option. And then, of course, the dead deal, we never want that to happen. So we want to try to figure out a way, but utilize this and know that it's there, and start using it on your transaction. Go in there and get that form. It's easy. Settlement walkthrough form. People have asked for it, but it's right there in the file. So do that. All righty. I think I'm about done. Whoa. Huh. All right. Well, does anybody have any questions or any other information that they want to cover, and that we can go over right now? Ask all your questions. Help yourself. Unmute yourself. Let's go.
Hey, Chuck, this is Christy. Can you hear me?
I can.
I wanted to ask, I'm going back to the training for a moment that you mentioned regarding the negotiating
Uh-huh.
certificate that you have. And
Yes.
I wanted to know, is that training, is that something offered online or was it in person?
Well, the one I took is before COVID. But that's a great question, Christy, because remember I told you I took the first part, the master part, in person. In fact, the third class I took, I had to go out to, man, it was an hour drive out 66 to the class every day. An hour drive back and whatnot. So I did what it was necessary. It's 8 hour class, 8 hours for 2 or 3 days in a row, and did that. But so yes, it probably, I don't know what rendition it is today. Now I say that to say the last one I took, the CMO class, it was a certified multiple offer expert. I took that during COVID, and it was during multiple contracts and things like that. But that was virtual. You was regular Zoom. The teacher was teaching, and everybody had to keep the camera on, and all that other kind of good stuff. But it was real good. So let's check around. It's just Google real estate negotiation courses, and the several of them will come up, and they all teach about the same thing from what I understand. I'm taking them all, but they all teach the same thing from what I understand. And you will be able to learn some tricks of the trade so that you'll be able to do what you need to do, in order to keep your transaction together. Good
Okay,
question.
thank
Thank
you. And just one other question.
you.
I
Mhm.
know you had mentioned earlier that for those of us who came in early, that we would be able to have access to the attachments that you showed. And I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with where they would be located in the
They're,
Zoom
they're,
call.
they're in the chat.
Okay,
But I tell you what, I'm
I'll
getting
check
ready
there.
to, yeah, in the chat, I'm getting ready to drop him in again. So thank you for reminding me about that. I appreciate it. We do that right now. 10 traits. All right, so they all are in the chat box now. They're in there as PDFs. All you have to do is open the chat, click on it, and it'll save itself to your computer, your device, and then you can do with it what you need to from there. And I'll leave it up for a little bit, and so that everybody can get hold of that. And that's the same thing that I just taught off of. You'll have that for yourself. Good. Some more questions. Anything else? Okay. Well, there being no no more questions, we can go ahead and get rocking and rolling. The market is good now. We're in the spring market. They say it normally goes from Martin Luther King's birthday to Memorial Day. However, this one may go a little bit different. There are a lot of factors in regulating it a little bit. And yeah, I see you, Tiana. A lot of factors regulating it, and we'll just keep an eye on it. But just go do everything you can do. Talk to everybody that you can talk to. Get as many buyers as you can. Get as many sellers as you can. Work your KV core. Work your CRM, and just do the things that you know to do. My KV core is working, and I'm not even working. It's got like 290 something people in there that I probably should call, if that was what I was doing. But and I'm going to figure out a way to get them out and get them out of my to-do list and get them out, and I'll probably divvy them up to you guys so that you can rock and roll with them. I'm all for that. Good. Yes, Tiana.
Is it too late to sign up for the Sellstate Summit?
No, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Yeah, the early bird rates and everything on the Sellstate Summit are over on May 15th. Then the price will go up. So if you book your go to Sellstate Summit 2023.com and pay for your course there, it's going to be fine. Brian Eisenhower is an awesome teacher. You're going to learn a lot of a lot of ways to stay productive, to be productive. He's been coaching people for years. I'm actually thinking about getting into one of his coaching programs. He's a diner, and you all have been to the platform, to the Sellstate Source platform. That's all his material there. So all the stuff that you've been watching on videos and things like that, you're gonna actually be in the room with the man. Okay, in the room with that man. That was part of the problem when it was canceled before in October because of the Hurricane Ian getting back on his schedule. So once his schedule, was available for that day, then that's why we kind of moved the summit around there. So yeah, thank you for that. And it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be, and also let me know if you are going. Let me know if you booked your ticket. I have some surprises for you, but the longer you wait, the less likely you are to get some of the surprises because they take a little bit of time to manufacture. Okay, and I'm thinking if I know enough of y'all are going, then we'll be able to go out to dinner down there and just hang out for a little bit and whatnot. See sunny Florida, sunny Southwest Florida. Good. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Aaron, go ahead.
No, I said not for me.
Yep, gotcha. All righty. All right, everybody, stay productive. Call me if you have any questions, any problems, any concerns. Call me first so we can stay out of court and we can get you the settlement, okay? Remember business plans. I need to be doing your business plans. We need to start checking in and making sure you are where you expected to be. If you have started business plan, if you haven't, we need to come in and do that first. You do the questionnaire, then we meet. It takes about 45 minutes going over what your plan is to have a better business. And then we're going to go from there. All right. Fantastic. All right, everybody, stay positive, stay productive. We got this. All right. Talk to y'all soon.
All right, everybody.